Okay, folks, so today I wanted to do a little video here on Part D, your prescription drug plans. The topic of confusion is often met upon for many folks who are new to Medicare, and even some folks who have been on Medicare for some time. They kind of do get a little bit confused as well in terms of how their drug plan works and when they move from one stage into the next. So I figured I'd put together a little short video trying to bring a little bit of clarity and better understanding as to how it works. So when you're on Medicare, you can either have a standalone Part D drug plan, or if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, your drug coverage will traditionally be included in your Medicare Advantage plan. So this is going to apply to both of those scenarios. So up top here, this is going to represent the drug plan. The figures that I'm going to be using in here are going to be based off of the 2017 numbers. But for all intents and purposes, this is going to be more of a general informational based video that I'm doing. Your specific drug plans particulars may vary slightly here or there, but this is just to give a broad overview as to how your basic drug plan works. All right, so let's open this guy up. You basically are going to have 4 stages throughout the course of a year, and you're going to move from left to right. So you're going to start at the deductible stage, then you're going to progress your way to the next stage, which would be the initial coverage stage. Then you have your coverage gap, very often referred to as the donut hole. And then once you get out of there, you'll move into catastrophic coverage. Starting at the deductible stage, many drug plans or Medicare Advantage plans that offer prescription drug coverage have a deductible of some sort. For 2016, the annual deductible is $360. And for 2017, that number is $400. Here in this stage, this is basically where you are going to be responsible for the full cost of your prescriptions until you've hit that $400 deductible. So the full cost of your medication is going to be solely on you until you spent $400. Once you've spent the $400, you would have satisfied your deductible, and now you're going to move into the next phase. That's going to be the initial coverage phase. Let me close this up. In this stage, the amount that's needed in spend to come out of this stage is $3,700. That includes the $400 deductible that you would have had to have met to enter into this stage. So as we open this up, as I just mentioned, you have your $400 deductible that you've already met, and the difference, the $3,300, this is where this is going to be split between you as the member and the drug plan or your Medicare Advantage plan. They're going to cover that $3,300. So as we open this up, the way that's going to be divided is 25% of your medication costs will be the responsibility of the member or the enrollee, and the other 75% is going to be picked up by your drug plan or your Medicare Advantage plan. That's going to translate into, for the member, $825 approximately, and then for the drug plan, their portion is going to equal $2,475. Once that amount has been met, the $3,700, We then move over into the world famous donut hole, or the coverage gap as it's now being referred to. Let me open this up. So here we have this term is what you may see in some of your literature that you get from your plan. You'll see it listed as such, which stands for your true out-of-pocket. The number of total combined spend needs to be $4,950. So as we open this up, that's going to be broken down between the two main categories. You have your generic medications and your brand medications. For your generic medications, close it for a moment. For your generic medications, 49% of the cost is going to be picked up by your drug plan. That's an increase of 7% from off 2016 numbers. That used to be 42%. And then for the enrollee, your number is going to be 51%. That's actually a decrease from 2016's figure, which was 58%. So you add these two together, you get your 100% number. That's how your generics are going to work. With regards to your brand name medications, a little bit different. Here, 50% of the cost is going to be picked up by the manufacturer. And then the remaining 50% is going to be split between the member, and which is going to cover 40%, and the drug plan or the Medicare Advantage plan is going to be responsible for the other 10%. On both of these sides, the enrollees portion has decreased by 5% compared to last year's figures. And on the plan side, their number has increased 5% based off of 2016's figures. So these three parts right here, these are the three that are going to help meet this $49.50. That's why we kind of have the true out-of-pocket cost. So the amount that the plan pays on both your generics as well as your brand medications are not going to be factored into hitting this $4,950. It's just going to be the amount that you, the member, pay, as well as the discounts being provided by the drug manufacturer or any other organization that may be helping to pay your prescription medication cost. So just keep in mind that in the coverage gap or the donut hole, the amount that's picked up by the drug plan will not count towards hitting your true out-of-pocket. Very important. Between these three stages here, between your deductible, the initial coverage, and the donut hole, that's kind of where we have this little section down here. You have your $400 deductible. The amount that is your responsibility here in the initial coverage phase is $825. And the amount that you would be responsible for, or you plus whoever else is helping to pay towards your drug costs, which would be the drug manufacturer. Between the three of you, or four, however other individuals or companies or programs are helping to pay, that has to be $1,250. So when we add these three together, that's going to give us a total number of $2,475. That's the amount that pretty much you as the member is going to be responsible for paying between you and, I guess, as I mentioned, the manufacturer or whatever other programs are helping to cover your drug costs for you. That total figure is going to be approximately $2,475. That is the amount that needs to be spent before you enter into the final stage, which is going to be the catastrophic coverage. In the catastrophic coverage area, this is when the cost that you are responsible for paying gets reduced significantly. For your generic medications, you're going to be responsible for the greater of 5% of the cost, or $3.30 per medication. And for your brand medications, same thing, well, not the same thing, but you're going to be responsible for the greater of 5% of the cost, or $8.25, whichever one is higher. Once you hit your catastrophic coverage, this is typically one of the more favorable times of the year because your costs have come down quite substantially. But the donut hole is typically the most problematic or the worst part of the year for many folks that have a drug plan or a Medicare Advantage plan that covers their prescriptions, is because this is where you're basically shouldering the lion's share of the cost. Many people that are taking some of the more traditional generic medications sometimes never even hit the coverage gap. A lot of folks end up staying in the initial coverage area, and a good amount of folks that are taking some of the more expensive medications will hit the donut hole very regularly. Typically, the more expensive the medications and the amount of medication that you're taking, the more expensive they are will make you hit the coverage gap earlier in the year than someone who does not take a lot of expensive medications. So, I'm not going to touch on the fact that some individuals do get low-income subsidy, or they do qualify for some of the other Medicare savings programs or some other programs that are out there that help cover the entire cost or a large portion of the cost. And also those individuals that may be on Medicaid, they also get a large portion of their drug costs picked up by those plans. So this is just more so for the average individual, just to kind of give a good working understanding of what they can expect throughout the course of the year as they use their Part D drug plan. So hopefully I was able to bring a little bit more clarity and a little better understanding, and you're able to kind of understand. Maybe you hear some of these terms and aren't quite sure how they apply to your drug plan. Each carrier that offers a Part D drug plan, they have their own formulary, and that's also going to play a role into the cost of your medications. One company's formulary can be completely different from another company. So these are often things that you want to compare when you pick a drug plan or Medicare Advantage plan. You want to kind of see what type of coverage they're going to offer towards your specific list of medications that you take. So hopefully, as I mentioned, this was a help. Until next time, you guys have a great day. Bye for now.